Hello, everybody. Welcome again to the Dead Money with Dan Arfin podcast. Like and subscribe, okay? Fucking shit. Anyway, it's the weekend, so perhaps there will be lots of crazy action. But before I get down to playing this weekend, I'm going to talk about what went on still in this last week. Just a crazy week. A lot of sessions playing where I'm just so freaking shot. It's freaking miserable. I mean, it's like I want to get out there and I want to play, so I play. But I go out there knowing that I'm a little compromised, and no matter how aware of that I am, I can't overcome it completely. It just affects you in an adverse way. And I don't want to make excuses for myself, but it's like I have to be able to recognize why certain things are not going the way I want them to. But I've slept better the last couple of days, so perhaps I'll finally put a stop to some of this. But anyway, so let's get started. Well, when I joined a game, there was a guy on my right who ended up revealing that he's been awake for the last 50 hours. So this guy's been pretty delirious. And I think the first hand I sat down, I saw him raise to 25 with nobody in the pot. And he ended up showing ace-4 of diamonds. I think he just won the pot right on the flop. He flopped the nut flush draw. So, note to self, he raised 5x with ace-4 of diamonds. That's all. Then maybe around 20 minutes later, there are 3 limps, and Mr. Delirium raises to 25 again on the button. So he went 25 with no one in the pot with ace-4 of diamonds, and now he's going 25 on the button with 3 limpers. I got ace-jack off in the small blind, 3-bet to 125. The limpers fold, he calls. And the flop, I think, was ace-8-4, rainbow. I bet something normal, he called. And the turn was a 7. There's 2 hearts now. And normally I don't try to go for 3 streets with a hand as weak as ace-jack, but I felt like it was safe enough to do here, and I can just bet fold at any point I get raised. So I bet something, I think, on the bigger side. Not crazy big, but, whatever. I don't remember the fucking sizes. He called. And the river was another ace. Wow. I think the pot was around 800 or 900 by this point, and I had about maybe 1,000-ish. I jammed, he calls, and had ace-queen. Stacks me. So yeah, he made it 25 with ace-4 of diamonds, but he also only made it 25 with ace-queen off with the button and 3 limpers. Okay, this is what I get for paying attention. So, all right. And then about 15 minutes later, he was talking about how he hates ace-jack and ace-queen. And right after he said that, I said to him, I was like, "You hate ace-queen." I said, "How did you like it 10 minutes ago when you stacked me with it?" I don't think he answered, or he said something that wasn't very coherent. Then he got into another single raise pot with a reg. Mr. Delirium called the raise. He was out of position. The flop was 9-9-8, and he just open folded. He didn't even check. And then the reg showed that he had flopped 4 9s. So, I guess he just had a really good read on the reg. So then I table changed, and then there was a raise to 20. There was 2 calls, I think, and then the small blind 3-bet to 60. Or maybe there was 1 call. Either way, the 3-bet to 60 is obviously just ridiculously not smart. And I had pocket 4s in the big blind, and I cold 4-bet to 220. Don't normally do stuff like this, but this is the time where I will make an exception. I mean, if I'm going to either 4-bet bluff or cold 4-bet bluff, it's going to be in a situation like this, where my hand has a little something going for it, and I'm facing these unusually small sizes from somebody. Now, I was new to the game, so I don't know if this guy has a huge hand and just has no clue how to size, or if he just has a really stupid hand. I was just willing to take the chance. So the raiser folds, the first flatter folds, but then the second guy who called the 20, he had just stacked off, and he calls the 220. And I'm going to be out of position against him, and the small blind folds. So my cold 4-bet accomplished what I wanted it to as far as taking advantage of the small blind's 3-bet size, yet here I am out of position against a guy who was rebought fairly deep, and my hand does not play very well in this spot, and I'm going to be up against a guy who probably won't fold very easily. But we got to deal with it. I mean, and this is what happens at 2-5. You end up in these spots a lot more often than you'd ever imagine you would, because it doesn't make any sense. But all right, we got to fight out of this. So King 8 deuce rainbow is the flop. Okay, that might be manageable. I bet 150 and he calls. Okay. Turn is another 8, which I thought would at least simplify this for me as far as how to proceed turn and river. I think I have to just check fold, but he checked back. And the river is a jack. There's a mild chance I still have the best hand. It's not something I want to take too much to the bank on. This pot is rather big. It's got to be around 800, maybe less. I bet 600 and he folded right away. Maybe he had pocket fives. Only he knows. Then comes a hand where there's a raise to 20 from late position. A guy who's deep looks fishy. I 3-bet to 90 from the small blind with ace-king off. The big blind cold calls. So I got another cold call. We go three-way. Flop comes ace-6-6 rainbow. I bet 125. The big blind folded. He is the one who cold called, and the imposition player called. The turn was the 9 of spades, 2 spades. I checked, and he bet very small. He bet like 150. And I was thinking about what to do for a while, because for me to jam, it would be a little bit more than the pot. And I mean, he could have a 6, or he could have me murdered at this point. But it was just hard to figure out what he was doing or why he was doing it. I just thought ace-king was probably the best hand. And since I was new to the table and might be possessing some sort of aggro image, I thought jamming might actually be good for me. So I ripped it in and he snap folded. Whatever he had, something tells me he wasn't betting the river with it unless it somehow improved to a better hand. So I'll take it. Then we have a straddle on. We have a raise to 30 from a reg. I 3-bet the cutoff next action with ace-7 of hearts to 100. The button cold called. There was another cold call, and the razor called. And the flop comes 9 deuce 4 2 hearts. So I got the nut flush draw. Pot has 400. Goes check, check to me. I debated checking and betting for a while. Checking might be better. I don't know. I mean, I tend to check when I don't flop a monster when I 3-bet and got cold callers behind me. Now, I have a monster-ish draw. Certainly one I don't mind putting some money in with. I ultimately decided betting is what I'm going to do. I bet 250 and only the button calls. And the turn is the 10 of clubs, 2-tone board. The pot has 900 now, and he had about 1100 left, maybe less. It's another situation I didn't know what to do. I thought about jamming. I think jamming is totally fine. I think jamming is what I probably should have done. If I had big pocket pair here, I might play it this way, just go bet and jam the turn, or at least go bet. But I ended up checking. And then he bets 250. And now I once again considered jamming. But now I was afraid to jam, because I was afraid he might just call it off. So I just call. I mean, I'm getting obviously an amazing price, and I figured I was just going to lead jam on any river that I improve on, unless it's a 7, of course. And I do hit a 7 on the river, and the backdoor club flush come in. So we got 9 deuce 4 2 hearts, 10 of clubs, 7 of clubs, backdoor flush hits. So now I check, and now he jams a little over 800. And, my first thought was to fold, but I just had a strange feeling about all this, and I was trying to get a live read on him, and he just looked a little funny. He was already making fishy plays. I mean, the guy looks like a fish. And I just thought it was going to be kind of difficult for him to show up with a flush here. I mean, he would have to specifically have like ace-3, ace-5, 5-3 of clubs. I mean, that's kind of it. And even those are a bit of a stretch. Ace-3, ace-5. I mean, all he has is a backdoor flush draw. 5-3 is at least an open ender on the flop. So this turn size he used made no sense. That could not have been a big hand. Like, I just couldn't see this random fishy-looking player using a tiny size with a huge hand on a board this draw-heavy on the turn. And I started thinking I could beat some other missed flush draws. I mean, I have one myself, but he can still have one. I mean, we know that we don't want to put guys on missed flush draws when we already have one ourselves. But I was thinking Queen Jack of Hearts, King Queen of Hearts, King Jack of Hearts, 6-3 of Hearts, 6-5 of Hearts, 6-7 of Hearts. And I thought, no, idiot, he can't have 6-7 of Hearts. You have the 7 of Hearts. 6-8 of Hearts now has a straight, but in God, do I hate hero calling. I mean, I almost put the money in, and then I was still thinking, and I thought he could just have some really, really bizarre hand. And I called, and he had 4-3 of spades, so I won. Yay. Oh, God. I mean, that was stressful. I mean, I got the best result because I stacked him, but I don't really like the way I play this hand. I mean, I played it basically to make it as hard as possible for me to win. By not jamming turn, by not check jamming turn, and then by having to call this river. This was a one-outer river in the sense that it gave me a better hand, but only third pair, and it was a backdoor flush completing card. You know, we think a one-outer is a lot as the 2% chance where if it's like set over set, yeah, I mean, that's a one-outer to cold deck you, but there's plenty of other situations where there's like only one card that can come on the river that can set up a certain scenario, and that's what this card did. So, felt good to hero call a guy. Felt good to get stuck a buy-in within 20, 30 minutes and then come roaring back. And then I was going on a little bit of a rush. Was up a bunch, and then this hand comes up. I raise with King, Queen of Hearts. I think the straddle was on again. We go four-way. It comes Jack 10-4, 2 clubs and a heart. And once again, I was third to act. It's a flop I can check. I mean, I usually check a lot of hands multi-way, but this hand improves a lot. The game is soft. So I bet. And I don't remember the size. The small blind called. Small blind was this old guy, you know, just a recreational player. Turns the total brick. It's a 6. He checks. And good card to check back, since if he likes his hand on the flop, then he probably likes his hand on the turn. But I also thought I could probably just triple barrel this guy, so I bet again, knowing that I might even have the best hand a fair amount of the time also. Maybe not a fair amount of the time, but some portion of the time. I think I bet like 215, something like that. I mean, it brought the pot up to about 650, something like that. And the river I bricked, it was a 7, but 8-9 is now the nuts. And he checked again. And when he called the turn so fast, I figured he's likely to have, you know, either just a jack or maybe like a pair plus a draw hand. So I thought that if I really nuke this river, he's going to be folding quite a bit. And if he had the 9-8 nuts, which either one of us can have, I mean, I don't have any blockers to it, but either one of us can have it. I figured if he had that, he's going to come out betting. So I bet like 750, 800, not like a massive overbet, but an overbet. And he snap calls. He's got the Jack 6 suited. So he flopped top pair, turned 2 pair. Surprisingly did not check raise. But hey, at least he didn't nit roll the fuck out of me on the river, and he just snap called. And the funny thing is, that's a hand that like probably going to be calling most of the time, but like that's a hand that like could fold. I mean, that hand loses to a number of hands. I mean, it loses the top 2, it loses to the nuts, it loses to whatever. Well, lots of hands lose to the nuts, but he also, I mean, I could have a set. He didn't think about any of these things. He just turned his 2 pair and just held on with it. And I'm not blaming him for doing that. It's just that it's amazing some of these nit rolls I've taken the last few months by these unfoldable hands, people setting traps, then I go all in against them, and then they don't want to call. Like, they have top full houses. They have full houses that lose to nothing except quads, and they don't want to call with these hands. They, like, roll their eyes, and they sigh, and then they're like, oh, well, I won? Ooh, what a shock. This guy just snaps me right off, so, okay, I lose. Then I played a couple 3-bet pots against the reg I've been mentioning before. He and I are friends, and I pretty much fucked up both of these hands. The first one was, straddle was on, I raised with ace-king to 30. He made it like 120 from the small blinds. Thought about 4-betting, came close to doing it, decided to just call. And the flop comes 3, 4, 6 with 2 diamonds, and I have the ace of diamonds. And I expected him to check, and he did. And I thought about checking back, but with the backdoor nut flush draw blocker, I thought if I start betting here, I could end up winning this hand on a lot of different runouts. So I bet like 115, I think, and he called. The turn was a 7, so any 5 makes it straight. And I could have 5s, ace 5. He checks, and once again, I thought about betting kind of hard here and put his overpairs in a really bad spot. We're really deep, but I know this guy is capable of like making calls. So I actually thought I'm going to check back turn, and I'm going to rep a trap on a lot of rivers, whether he checks or if he bets. I thought that was going to give me a little bit better of a shot at getting him to think what I wanted him to think. Instead, we get this very bizarre river, another one-outer. It's a 5, so the board has it straight, and it's a diamond. And he bets 80 into like 400. And I raise to 500, and he calls with king jack of diamonds with the second nut flush. And I was pretty sick with myself because, God, how many different ways I could have won this pot one way or another, and yet I found a way to lose it. And lose the max, in essence. Probably folds to a 4-bet, probably folds to a bet on the turn. I mean, he played this hand fine, but it's just interesting because I'm proceeding through this hand as if he's going to have overpairs, and most of the time he probably will. He doesn't have that many flushes. I have the fucking ace of diamonds. This was really fucking sick. I mean, he can have, king, queen, king, jack, king 10, queen, jack, queen 10, jack 10 in diamonds. He has all those hands. It's not like he has no flushes. But aces, kings, queens, jacks, 10s, pocket 9s possibly even. He's got way more combos of that. Now, when he bet 80 on the river, my thinking was he didn't want to check and have to deal with me firing a nuke at him because it's going to be really hard for him to have a straight or a flush, and it's far more conceivable for me to have a flush, number one. I have the ace of diamonds. And just I could have an 8 more easily, whether it's just pocket 8s or 7-8. I mean, I don't know if I had 7-8. Maybe. But point is, I was just thinking he didn't want me to do anything really aggressive at him. And if he throws this little block bet at me, that it might make me think twice about doing it. And I came very close to just calling his 80 and just not worry about getting into a leveling war with him. And instead, I just stick my head right in the lion's mouth, and he just gets to win this very nice-sized pot at this point. And this whole trap plan I was thinking of running, it's sick because it's like I'm trying to think about bluffing the river. Meanwhile, I just have him in pretty bad shape. He's not going to win on too many rivers. I mean, if he hits a jack, he's gonna probably just check. And once I fire a monster bet, he may have a hard time calling with it. I mean, he might call with it. I wouldn't put it past him. But if the river was a queen, if he bets, he's getting raised. And I'm raising with a better hand at this point and don't think so, but I am. If an ace comes, if he bluffs, I'm just going to call and win. If a king comes, I got him out kicked. If the board pairs some little card, I mean, there were just a lot of ways that it was going to be so hard for him to win this hand, in spite of him playing the hand the way he needed to play it. I mean, if I had bet turn, he's probably just going to fold. But if he does call, then I'm just building a pot with what's actually a better hand. So, very aggravating result there. I mean, aggravated with myself a bit, but even so, just a very unpleasant run out. And when you consider what his hand was and what my hand was, it's just like, God. So then another reg gets stacked, and he rebought. And this reg who got stacked, I mean, he's a pretty good player. But then the reg who I just lost to, he opens under the gun, and I did something I normally never do. I flat ace-jack suited in the middle position because the reg who had just got stacked was in the big blind. I didn't want him to fold. And maybe I was taking that a little bit too far. I mean, it's not like this guy's a fish. It's just like I just thought he might do something a little too loose. And if he's rattled, he might make a big mistake post flop. So, I mean, my thinking isn't completely stupid. It's just, I don't think I need to do that, though. I think I can just stick with my standard and just 3-bet. Instead, though, the flop comes 7-8 deuce, 3 ways. I got backdoor flush draw. The open raiser bet from under the gun, and I called. Big blind folded. I thought once again that the raiser would have just checked his range on this type of flop, but he didn't. Turn is a 9, which I thought was a great card for me. I mean, I got blocker of the nuts. I have all the sets. He checks. I bet something normal. I didn't write down sizes this week for that many of the situations I got into, but he called, and I think the pot was up to 400, 450 now. And when he called the turn, I mean, I thought I was going to win this hand a lot on the turn. I thought he would fold a lot of one-pair hands because I have all the sets, 2 pairs, and straights. And he has to at least consider that he's probably going to see another really big bet on the river. And if he's not willing to call that one, then no use calling this one. River was nothing, and he checked. And I actually thought he was going to have a lot of pocket 10s in his range and maybe pocket jacks when he calls that turn bet. And I was just getting frustrated, and I thought it was a good spot to fire a nuke, but I checked and gave up, and he has pocket 10s. So, give myself credit for arranging him correctly, but that doesn't make me any richer. Then comes a hand where the reg who I just mentioned, who had gotten stacked, he raises to 15. Another reg 3-bets the button. Bulgaria, yes, Bulgaria. I haven't talked about him in a while, the guy who wins every hand against me. He 3-bets to 50. I got 10s in the small blind, and I've been mixing in cold calls with 10s, jacks, and queens in situations like this. So I do that. The other reg calls. We go 3 ways, and I think the flop was like 8-8 deuce or 8-8 6, something like that. We all checked, and the turn was like a 4 or a 6. I think it was a 6. I bet 75 into 150, and the original raiser called. And Bulgaria folded, and the river is hello at 10. I got 10s full now. I bet 475 into 300. He jams about another 750 more. I snap, and he's got the cooler. He's got pocket 8s. Top full goes down. 2 quads. Boy. I think, given that his jam was only 2/3 pot, I don't think there's anything to really think about. I mean, if I was in a really, really deep situation and he's jamming like maybe another 3,000, then you can consider folding in because maybe he's not going to show you anything except quads, but I'm not going to worry too much about this. So now I got another hand with pocket 10s, and everyone thinks I'm just tilting now. And I was definitely a bit tilted, but I wouldn't say I was tilting. I mean, certainly not as much as people probably thought I was. But Bulgaria opens cutoff. I 3-bet 10s on the button, and Bulgaria just opens way too wide. He peels way too wide out of position. He's been having an incredible year. I mean, every time I see this guy, he has another wheelbarrow pushing to the cage. And this guy, while he has some strengths, is not that great of a player, in my opinion. I mean, his pre-flop is so bad. I mean, when I see some of the hands he opens with and calls 3-bets with, and you know what? I guess I don't blame him for seeing every flop because he crushes every single one of them. So it's like, what's the point in folding? It's not like you're not going to have the nuts. So I get into another situation with him. The flop comes 7-7-7. He check calls. Turns a 9. He check calls. Pot's up to about 600. The river is a 7. Oh my God. I mean, this is right after the fucking pocket 10s hand. He checks. And I really had to think long and hard about what I'm going to do here, but I don't want to think too long. And I thought I probably have more aces in my range than he does, but I wouldn't put it past him to be calling down with like ace-jack or something. I wouldn't put it past him at all to be doing that. But it's going to be tough for me to win at Showdown. I mean, it's just not a risk I want to take, I'll tell you that. You know, if he had like 8s or 6s, we know he's not going to call or get creative on that. I mean, these hands, these spots come up so rarely. But I thought if he has jacks or if he has queens, if he does, he can't fucking call a river bet with that. Like, not knowing that it's just so easy for me to be 3-betting and blasting with ace-x. But I can't go too big because he can have ace-x. So I bet 275 and he show folds pocket eights. Nice river. I mean, I said to him, how much are you calling on the river? He said he'd probably call up to 500. So I don't know how much I would have bet. But Bulgaria, even when he loses, still catches this massive break to get him off the hook. Okay. So this was a wild, wild day. I mean, I think I had about $8,000 worth of swings from going up and down, or down to up, down to up. I was down a bunch, and I was up a bunch, and I was losing. Then I came back. I ended up a slight winner for the day. Thought I played all right for the most part. I mean, got fucked in some situations where I should have or could have taken some different lines. And instead, I get the worst result possible. But all right, on we go. So we get into the next session, and I showed up around midnight, and I wasn't planning to play very long, but this ended up being an all-nighter because I came across a particular player where once in a while you come across a whale who you just cannot quit the game under any circumstances. It feels good when you come across these players because at least you don't have to wonder about anything. You just play. And it wasn't even that he was buying in that deep. In fact, he was buying in like 400, 400, 400 and losing, but then he ran it up extremely high. He must have turned 400 into 4,000 in about an hour, this man from Moldova. And I was very tired playing in this session also. And, you know, he was a pleasant-natured man, but oh my God, I mean, this guy just did not know the rules and couldn't understand them. We had to correct him so many times, and he was string bet a couple times. We had to explain to him why he can't do that. What he kept doing all night long is he would like throw in a quarter and just let it drop and not announce that he's raising, and was being forced to just call and limp in. I mean, we told him that so many times. We told him to have to put the big chips up front. And then he was acting out of turn. I mean, just all night long, you know, this guy who was getting drunker and drunker and laughing more and more and seemed to be enjoying himself, but was playing extremely, extremely slow. I mean, it was taking forever. And I was card dead for hours. And he was V-pipping very high. So naturally, the times where I got aces and kings, he wasn't in those hands. But before anything really got started with him, there was this one hand, blind versus blind. A woman raises to 15, and the big blind jams 760, which obviously is nuts. And the woman tanks for a while, and she's like, I can't fold this hand. She calls, and they both had pocket kings. So, you know, you take note when you realize somebody thought that long with kings. I mean, it gives you a lot of information about what they think about the spot. So it just tells you that this woman's not willing to put money in light very often. With our Moldovan whale, he kept talking about racing. Every time he would go to the flop, he would say, let's go racing, let's go racing. So he liked to race. So the hand I mentioned where I had pocket aces, the lady who I just mentioned who had a hard time calling off with kings raises to 15. I 3-bet to 45. And one of the big blind called. I mean, this game was great even without the Moldovan whale. So we go three ways. And the flop comes ace-8, deuce, 2 diamonds. They check to me, I check back, turn a deuce, got full house. Hopefully it's not beat by quads again. There's 2 spades now. It checks at a lady, she bets 50, we both called. The river brings in the backdoor flush, very happy to see that. It checks, she bets 175 into, I guess, 285. And she has to have a flush, so it's just a matter of how big I can raise. I mean, I raised to 650. I only raised 3/4 pot. I mean, it's a healthy-sized raise, but, like, it's not fucking massive. I mean, it folds back to her, and she tanks for 2.5 days, call the clock, runs it down to 0, and she folds. I mean, what else is new? They guessed correctly in another huge crucial spot. And look, I have it here. I mean, there's no way I'm bluffing because there's no way she's bluffing. I mean, I'm not going to have a bluff in a spot where we know the opponent has a huge hand anytime they are betting a relatively healthy amount on this run-out multi-way. It just seems too dangerous to be bluffing. We're like, what am I going to be bluffing with? Who knows how big her flush was? I mean, she kept saying, do you have aces full? But, like, I ain't fucking telling her. As soon as I muck it, she's like, what did you have? And I was like, I said, it's a secret. And I say that whether it's a bluff or not. You know, she didn't get out of line, but it's like, there are some people who, after they fold to you, they feel like they're entitled to have you tell them what they had as if you owe them something. It's like, okay. So then I had pocket kings. I ended up turning that into a bluff. I think that was a single raise pot. The flop came ace jack 5. And I check called 25, I think, from the button. Button was fishy. Turn was another jack. I checked and he bet 25 again. And I thought, all right, there's no way that's a jack. I can have a jack. I've been quiet for a while. I raised to 200 and he folds. Maybe it was a fortunate turn card, maybe not. Could have just had him beat anyway. Who knows? Then there was a straddle. There was a bunch of straddling. There were a few limps, including Moldova. And then there was an over limp after Moldova by this Spanish kid. In fact, there were a couple of these Spanish kids in the game. And we'll get to more on them later. But I have queen jack off. I raised to 60. One guy calls. And then the Spanish kid limp raised to 200. Like with the Moldovan player now out of the hand. Or no, he was in the hand. But he over limped. I was like, what? How does this guy limp a big hand after the whale limps? It's like, this limp raise makes no sense. Like, how could this be a hand? It's like, I'm so tempted to 4-bet this, even with my shitty queen jack offsuit, but it's like, something told me not to do it. I mean, it was just like, because at 2-5, you see weird shit like this, where people just show up with nutted hands in spots they're never supposed to have nutted hands. I mean, I got the idea, like, maybe he limped thinking that, like, he'll get a raise behind him anyway, because there's all these people in, and Moldova's in. I mean, if that's what he was thinking, then it worked out for him. That is too risky of a move. I mean, the people behind him were not like just blasting pre-flop with all kinds of hands. I mean, I can understand doing that if the guys behind you are extremely active before the flop, but that wasn't the case. So either he made a bluff that was so bad it was good, or he just limped a huge hand, tried to disguise it by over limping with Moldova in there, but oh God, I just had a bad feeling. I was like, I'm not giving this kid the action. If he's bluffing here with something, I don't even care. But yeah, Moldova was just all over the place. I mean, he would use huge sizes in the most random spots and then fold. He wasn't really bluffing. I mean, he was claiming all these weird hands where he would bet and then get raised. I mean, the guy was just all over the place. He was running really good against one of the other Spanish regs in the game. A reg who I've never seen before, but a reg, clearly this guy plays a lot, you know. Clearly he's trying to win. Then the Spanish kid who had just limp raised, he raises and I 3-bet aces. We go heads up. Flop was 9, 7 deuce, 2 hearts. I have a heart, and I threw in a check back when he checked the flop. Turn was a 5. He bet something. He bet 60, I think. I called. River's another 9. Ugh. He bets 175 in the 220. I called right away, and he had pocket 3s. So I don't know what the hell that was about. I mean, it's just a strange hand to be going bet with because, like, I couldn't tell. Was he bluffing? I mean, what does he think he's gonna bluff me off of? Like pocket 8s, like pocket 6s? Like, what did he think I had? Because if I have just, you know, ace king, he of course has the best hand. I mean, was he trying to value bet that? I mean, I don't know. But this is where things started to get a little bit interesting. Moldova was opening to all kinds of sizes, and then one hand he's opening to 50, and one of the other Spanish regs starts yelling, no, like, oh, come on, 25. Like, he was trying to talk him into betting less, which is just extremely stupid and out of line. I mean, it's not that it offended anybody. Well, it offended me, but it's not that, like, it was this majorly offensive thing. It's just, you don't fucking do that, okay? You don't tell the whales what to do under any circumstances, unless they're just like breaking rules. Like, that's different. This is not breaking a rule, okay? He was breaking rules all night. We had to keep correcting him. You're trying to get him to raise to 25 so that you're more comfortable seeing the flop with it? Fuck you, man. So after that hand was over, I just looked at him, and I haven't said a word all night. I've barely played a hand all night. I said to him, I was like, don't tell him what to do. That was it. He didn't respond. There was no arguments. Meanwhile, this Spanish kid was getting his ass kicked by Moldova, like getting his shit kicked in completely. And he was battling. You know, he wasn't spewing left and right. He was trying hard. I mean, I didn't think this guy was that great of a player. I got the sense that he is always going to have the nuts whenever he puts a big bet in. And you always get a little nervous about bluffing people who are stuck. But I got the sense that he wasn't willing to make a fold if he felt he needed to. And I just didn't like the way he was acting. He had this very douchey way about him. And that was confirmed when he finally won a big pot against Moldova, and he was like celebrating. He's doing this little dance at the table. He's like singing in Spanish, and I'm just like, yo, act like you fucking won before. I mean, I didn't say anything to him, but it's like, I'm looking at some of these other players, and it's like, who is this motherfucker? Like, I have never done anything like that at the table. I don't care how young and immature I ever was in other situations. I never did anything like this. But before he won that big hand, he raised to, I think, 30 or 35 over a straddle, and I 3-bet king queen of spades out of the small blind to like 155, I think, or 140. He called. I flop a total napkin, 5-8-5, no spades. I think now I bet 155. He called. And the turn is a jack of clubs, 2 clubs now. I basically bet pot. I bet 590. He called. Pot is very big now, and I thought about jamming river. I mean, well, let's see what the river is. And it's an ace. It's an offsuit ace. So now I don't think I need to jam. And now I probably shouldn't jam. I mean, the only ace he can really have is ace king of clubs. I didn't think he would get this far with ace 8. I don't remember what the suits were. So I don't know if there was any minor chance he has ace 5. I mean, and then there's the nutted hands, pocket 8s, pocket 5s, pocket jacks. So the hands I'm targeting, I don't need to jam at this point. And the pot's got 1,700, and I bet 1,025. And I don't know what he was calling with up to that point, but, you know, I got kings and queens blocked, so, I mean, this is a spot I just have to take. And I was winning on the night, and, you know, we all hate having to run huge bluffs at the end of sessions or towards the end of sessions when you've been winning, but you know what? Every hand is independent. Every hand, the spot just is what it is. You can't think of this as winning and losing. You can't make scoreboard decisions. You just got to do what you got to do, and the result will be whatever it is. So I bet the 1,025, knowing that if this gets called, I mean, now I'm going to be down a bunch after this long, frustrating evening of being carded in a whale game, and I'm tired as fuck. I'm fucking shot. My eyes are heavy once again all night. I mean, all I want to fucking do is just win this pot, please. How many fucking times they're guessing right in these crucial spots? I mean, like with the lady where I had the aces full, I mean, I probably should have raised a little less. I should have thought about the fact that it took her forever to call with pocket kings in an easy spot when a blind versus blind just jams on her, when 3-bet jams, when she makes a 15. Probably should have sized down just a little bit. Maybe it would have gotten the big call. I mean, but anyway, this kid folded. And I don't show bluffs very often. And Moldova wasn't even in the game at this point. He took a break. He was still in the game. He just wasn't at the table. I showed this fucking hand. I don't like showing bluffs. I like keeping everything a mystery. But you know what? This little fuck, his obnoxious fucking table antics and just the way he was being, and then telling the whale, don't raise to 50, raise to 25, then I can play with you. Like, I mean, get the fuck out of here, you little chump. It's a really rough spot for him on the river. I'm not even saying he made a bad fold. I mean, he probably needs to fold whatever he folded. I mean, if he had 10s or 9s, I mean, it could have been something like that, I guess. The most likely hands. Then after he wins his big pot, then he starts celebrating and gloating and doing his dance. He's like, oh, I'm coming for seat 4. I want it all. I'm thinking, yeah, right. Like, you'll ever put $4,000 in with anything but the nuts? Get out of here. So then after that, I took a weed break, and Moldova had quit the game. I mean, I don't even know how much he lost in the game. I don't think he lost anything massive. It's just that he ran his stack up to 4,000 and lost all that. So he had a tough night, but I go out, get high, come back, and it's my big blind, and some players from the broken game had come over, and Spanish reg raises to 20, button calls. I make it 105 in the big blind with jacks. The reg folds, and the button calls again. Now, the button is this older Asian man, looks fishy. I mean, I don't know anything about him. It's literally my first hand with him. Flop comes 10-8-8, rainbow, and I have been too passive with over pairs with these kinds of flops where a pair flops. I mean, you know, it's way ahead or way behind, but you're going to have to do some checking. I just think I've been over-checking these spots, or just being more passive than I need to be. Still, though, I checked anyway. And it wasn't because I was afraid of the eights. I just wanted to check. Betting's obviously good, but I checked. And he bet 150. Pretty healthy size bet. And I actually thought that he was showing up with a 10 here a lot. I mean, because his bet felt strong but slightly protective too. Like he doesn't want to see overcards come. So I raised to 425, and he thinks for a little while, and I'm realizing that he's not Hollywooding. He's not sure what to do. And I was thinking, I'm going with this. And he goes all in for close to 1,200. I don't know why I didn't snap call. I guess I was just making sure that this jam isn't way bigger than I thought it was in case there's like a yellow chip sneaking in there. Anyway, I called. Turn is a queen, so Jack 9 gets there. Not that I'm afraid of that, but Queen 10 gets there, which I would be afraid of that. And then the river is a 10. So the primary hands I'm looking to be ahead of have all made it on the river. And that's if I wasn't beat already. And he's got King 10 off. Pot was close to 2,600. I mean, that was just a soul-crushing hand to lose. To have finally not played overly passive in a 3-bet pot with an overpair when a pair flops, and then get this flop and get this much money in this good a shape. I'm 80-20, and he hits it. And I think I just played another orbit, and then I left. I was just so defeated and dejected. I still ended up winning on the night, but that hand, preventing it from being a huge day. Then I just went walking for a while, just walking and wandering and high, getting food. When I was set to go home around 9 a.m., I had come back and saw Moldova had come back. And I had actually seen Moldova walking around the casino too while I was wandering around. He didn't see me. I figured his night was done with. I mean, he kept telling us how worried he was about his wife because his wife didn't know where he was because he didn't tell her he was playing poker. He told her he's somewhere else. So I think he was worried about what she was going to think. I mean, who knows if this guy's a degen or what, but he was back in the game, and the game was full, and there were 1 or 2 names on the list, and I mean, I was checked out. I didn't want to play anymore. I wasn't going to get back in the game, but he had a lot of money in front of him, so I don't know if he was gotten hot again or if he just bought in deep. Could have been either one. But when the floor men saw me, they thought that I was just coming in to start the day. They didn't know I was there all night. I was like, no, I was here before. But he was telling me how he's like 2 seconds away from bringing racks to the table and kicking out like half the table because these Spanish regs were continuing to cause trouble because they were still there. They were going back and forth, jarring with him. I mean, it was all friendly banter, but I guess it wasn't so friendly anymore. So, yeah, that was a wild evening. Bit disappointing. Played well for the most part. I mean, but God, could have been a huge night and just a tough beat at the end. So I come back a few days later. I come in the morning, and Squeaky is there again. And Squeaky raises the 25. The button calls. Button is another reg who's friends with Squeaky. You see him all the time. I call small blind with deuces. The flop comes King 3 deuce with 2 clubs. I check. Squeaky bets 40. Button calls. I make it 175. Squeaky folds. Button rejams. I snap. He's got kings and 3s. He's got King 3 of spades. No backdoor flush. Queen on the turn. King on the river. Stacks me. Another $3,000 pot going the other way. So between these 2 hands and the hand I mentioned in a recent episode where I had AJ with me, where I called a big check raise all in on the turn against a combo draw where he rivered the nut straight and didn't realize it, turned his hand over just thinking he was turning over his missed draw, only to find out he now has the nuts. So yeah, this is 3 huge all-ins I've played recently where the pots added up to almost 9,000, and I was 75%, 80%, and 84% and lost all 3. So yeah, bit of a tough time. I'm having. Played through that day, though, and actually got mostly unstuck. I mean, I ran pretty decent. There was one spot where I had pocket 9s. I raised over some limps in a straddle. We go 4 ways, and the flop came ace 3 with 2 spades. I had 9s. I had no spade. And I think this is a check, but I ended up betting 75. Squeaky calls, one of the fishy players calls. So the pot's like 400 now. And how you doing? 9 of spades on the turn gives me a full house and it completes a flush. They check to me, and I don't know why I didn't bet bigger here. I only bet 175. They both called. The river's nothing. Squeaky bets 225. The fish calls. I jam, and I jam a little over half pot. It's about 900 to Squeaky. He folds, and the fish has about 500 left, and he folds. And I think they both had a flush. I mean, they were both claiming flushes, and it's certainly believable. So another close situation where I am not getting the result I want. I mean, fuck. Now, I probably should have bet bigger on the turn, but if I did, who knows how it changes the rest of the hand. Maybe Squeaky doesn't bet the river. I mean, maybe he just checks again, and then maybe he doesn't call a river bet. I don't know. I mean, you could do this all day, but point is, God, how does this fucking keep happening? So I didn't even lose that much on the day, but then I came back a few hours later, watched some baseball, and It got off to a good start in a small pot where I raised cutoff with 6-5 of clubs, and this very, very nitty player defends. I figured I was just going to take it down pre. Didn't think he'd be calling the big blind, but he did. And the flop was ace-queen deuce. I have total air. He check calls like 25, pot has like 95. Turn is a 3 of hearts, so there's 2 hearts. So I actually have a shot at the nut straight now, and he offsuit 4. He checks about 175 and a 95. He's like, such a big bet. And he's like doing a whole show with his shoulders and everything. He turns over ace-8 of hearts, which is the kind of hand that I thought, could call turn and then fold river if it misses. One pair hand on the flop that now has a flush draw. And he's like, you bet too big. He's like, yeah, I don't have the right price. He's like, you give me a small bet. He's like, then I can pay you. And meanwhile, he's like, you got me drawing almost dead, buddy. So he folds. I'm like, thank you. He's like, thank you. Oh, the joys of playing against rocks. But it was pretty much all downhill from there. So then there's a raise under the gun. There's 2 calls and the button 3-bet to 80. Now, I had seen the button earlier that day in the squeaky game. He was wearing a lot of bling on his rings. He just looks like a rec player, but he didn't seem to be playing badly. I mean, he wasn't there for very long, but this guy probably is not an expert. He only 3-bet to 80, which is kind of small. I cold 4-bet queens to 250 out of the big blind, and calling here is fine. I mean, I've been mixing in some cold calls. I said it earlier that sometimes I've been cold calling here with like 10s, jacks, or queens, maybe even kings once in a while. But anyway, no one else calls except the button. And so the flop comes jack, 9-9, 2 diamonds. And he checked at a turn, and it just seems like an angle, but maybe not, because he seemed like a friendly enough guy. I mean, I don't know if he's doing that. I mean, but who forgets their position in a 4-bet pot? I mean, this isn't a limped pot with like 3 players in it. This is a 4-bet pot. How often do you forget your position in a 4-bet pot? So I bet 210. He calls. Turns a 3 of diamonds. It's 3 diamonds now. I don't have a diamond. And as I went to look back at my stack and took my eye off him, I saw him recheck his cards. And I did not think that was any sort of fake tell deception kind of thing. I mean, I thought he legitimately was doing a recheck. And when he 3-bets and calls a cold 4-bet, I mean, he's going to have a lot of pocket pairs anyway. So there's that as well, to not be too scared of a flush. I almost jammed, but I thought for a while and checked, and he bet 350 into 1,000, and I was just very confused. I mean, I think there's actually an argument for folding. As crazy as that probably seemed to me at the time, because it never even crossed my mind. In these 3-bet pots, 4-bet pots, you start checking these people. I mean, the check just seems to really strengthen their betting range, because they don't seem to bet marginals hardly ever. I mean, you'll see it from the aggro spazzes, or from people who are tilting, or from very fishy players, but from like players who are like fishy-ish, but have some competence. I mean, they just check back in these spots all the time, even when the pot is huge. And he can have pocket jacks, and he could have kings, and that's 9 combos, and there's only 6 combos of 10s, and you have to be thinking he's going to be checking those. So that means you have to be relying on him betting that hand for you to be good here. Could he have ace-king with a diamond? I mean, maybe. I jammed. I think this is a little thin. He called with aces, no diamond, and stacks me. And, I mean, I'll give him credit, because I didn't put him on aces, because you never see anyone do this with aces. And it's a good play. He played the hand well. But time after time after time, you cold 4-bet the queens here, you're just going to be 5-bet all in, with them having delusions that you're going to think they're bluffing. And he didn't do that. He called. Even so, though, I think the jam is too thin, and it's going to be kings a lot, and you're just getting stacked a lot. Or he just had jacks. But, yeah, not happy about that one. And then I just went on a rush where I couldn't win a hand. Game was very good, but I just couldn't win a hand. Then this hand comes up. Under the gun, the limps. Under the gun was another wreck, try-hard, fishy player who took a bad beat early, and, he's off his A game now, and his A game wasn't very good to begin with. I got ace-10 off in the big blind. I raised to 35. He calls. He thought for a little while first. The flop came king-jack 10. I bet 55. He called. The turn was the 8 of spades, 2 spades. I bet 170 or 175. He called, and the river was a brick, and I bet tiny bit more than the pot. I bet like 570, and he snaps with king-8 offsuit. Okay. So I got buried in this session. I mean, I knew the guy wasn't playing that well, but like he limped king-8 off into the gun and then called a raise from the big blind. I mean, what? He snap called the river too. I mean, he doesn't beat any value, but I guess once he makes this goofy 2-pair, he feels like he has to call down with it. But like, if I'm value betting, especially with these sizes, I mean, there's no way he's ever winning. And when he first limped in and called, I thought he probably just has a bunch of small pocket pairs. When he called the flop, all right, we ruled that out. But, I didn't want to check flop because they just don't bluff the flop ever. So it's just like he's just going to check back and realize. So if he has like pocket fours, I'm fine with betting the flop and just taking it there, because what's the point in checking to have him check back and then give him a chance to hit a 4? It hardly ever happens, but why even give him a chance for it to happen? I mean, it's just, unless you want to check again and see if he'll bet later, I mean, all right. I mean, I'm not saying I needed to play the hand this way. I didn't need to play it this way, but with all the 2 pairs I'm blocking, I mean, I'm blocking the nuts. It shouldn't be a big deal that I'm blocking the nuts, but you might be surprised how often people just limp in with ace queen and call raises. I mean, I don't block king jack, but when he called the turn bet, once again, I thought I could be up against a lot of either, pair plus hands, like maybe queen jack, jack 9, some jack that has spades that can't call river bet. So it didn't cross my mind to just jam river for would be close to 2x. Had I done so, that may have gotten the job done. So it's kind of sick to think about it now because it's a huge swing. But either way, I mean, look, you say what you want about how I'm playing. The bottom line is the guy limped in with king 8 offsuit under the gun and then called the raise and then hits this 2-pair and just decides to hold on. I mean, who was the fish in this hand? Okay. But all that aside, I mean, it's still not the most likely way I would play this spot. I mean, I do a lot of out of position checking just to see what they do, because when they're calling, you don't have as much information about their range as you do when you check and then see if they either bet or check back. Now, if I checked and he bet, I might have check raised. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if he has king 9 off instead of king 8 off, I think I probably win this hand. So, this is just what happens when you're running shitty. I mean, if you make the slightest mistake, you get beat to shit so hard for it. So even if there are things I could have done better about how I played this hand, and I'm not saying there aren't things I could have or should have done, bottom line is, it's like, this is just fucking brutal. This is some brutal punishment. You're supposed to be taking people's heads off when they're playing this bad, but you know what? The fish giveth and they taketh away. I mean, that's why you can't win freaking $2 bazillion an hour, because sometimes they're going to win these really big pots with hands that a reg who's trying hard would have just folded under the gun and that's it. So they giveth and they taketh away. But all right, that'll wrap it up for this week. Talk to you again soon. And before I go, let's congratulate Mike Zulker. He came in second after his first interview on the Dead Money podcast at the 10,000 PLO main event at the World Series of Poker. And after his second interview here, he won, shipped the 5,000 plus $100 Poker Masters event, number 2, No Limit Hold'em. First prize good for $157,000. So good for Mike. It's just what happens when you come on the Dead Money podcast. Good things happen to you. So you should all be lining up as well. But all right, we'll see you next time.